You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
As usual, I'm your host, the Worldwide Grand Prix Champion, the IWA North Carolina Champion, the disrespectful intellectual, the Southern Gentleman, the Morning Star, the Mid-Atlantic Bully, the Incredible Huck, Will Huckaby. And as usual, I'm joined by the hardest working man in wrestling podcast history. I don't care what you've heard. I don't care who you've heard about. This man is the hardest working man in wrestling podcast history. My co-host, my partner in crime, Killer Kev. Kev, what's going on?
What is going on with you, sir? How was your weekend?
Man, it was a very exciting weekend for a number of reasons. Yeah, obviously, Kev, we talked about it off the show and everything. And if our listeners and fans, they follow me on Instagram or Twitter or on Facebook, especially Facebook, they saw a very controversial post and stuff this past weekend. And usually, Kev, I try to keep things positive. I try not to talk about negative stuff if I don't have to, especially on social media, because I feel like it gives pro wrestling a black eye. But this was just one of those situations where I had to.
I think
pulling back the curtain a little.
I think I'm positive you needed to speak about this.
Definitely. Pulling back the curtain a little bit, Kev, for our listeners and fans, not only am I a wrestler, but I'm a booker also, or at least I was a booker until this past Saturday, for NWA Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. We had a show, the show was great. Great crowd. The crowd was very hot. I actually got a chance to take my three youngest kids with me to go see the show because they haven't seen Daddy wrestle in a long time. So I took my three youngest kids to the show. Overall, the show was great. I feel like I was very blessed to have, a good mix of veterans and young, hungry talent that's tearing up not only the North Carolina wrestling scene, but also Georgia and West Virginia, New York, et cetera, Tennessee, et cetera. Guys like Nemesis and this huge monstrous kid named Juggernaut from the Tidewater area of Virginia. Former guest of the show, LFA Manny Martinez was a part of the show. My former tag team partner, Joseph Agal, made an appearance at the show. Kiera Hogan, that a lot of wrestling fans will know from Sean and Shimmer and WSU. Owen Knight, who regularly wrestles in Georgia and especially at AWE. A couple of guys from West Virginia, in the Ohio area. Wayne Stansfield, DeGette Bundles, their tag team known as Dark Clouds. They were part of the show. Anyway, I had a great show. But then, it was just small things. As the booker, you're supposed to take control of the show. No matter who's in the show, when the bell rings, you're in charge. And me and the promoter had a lot of problems. One of the problems being that he refused, to put over somebody for the upcoming show. Just wasn't following instructions, or directions, if you want to call it, for his match. People were getting, empty envelopes, and I'll go ahead and say, yes, they were paid. They eventually did get paid. But it's just a simple fact that their envelopes were empty up front. And Kev, you've been a part of the business just as much as I have. If you get an empty envelope, you're supposed to get this pay and then you don't get this pay. Whether they make it right afterwards or not, you still have that feeling. You still have that feeling. You still have those thoughts in your head like, damn, I can't believe, you actually gave me a sealed empty envelope. There's still that little bitter sting that doesn't go away just because you eventually get your money. You know what I'm saying, Kev?
Yeah.
So it was a bunch of things. The promoter decided to bring back a former owner, who had decided to leave the company when the company was in the middle of a rebranding and stuff, going from the old regime to the new regime where I took over as booker, and the crowd was down, morale in the locker room was low. He decided to jump ship at that time, and now that we have a good locker room, it shows the crowd's picking up, not bragging, but bragging. We basically tripled our attendance, in the process of 4 to 5 months. In April, I think we had like 31 people paid. Didn't run a show in May or June. because of problems with the North Carolina National Guard armories. Ran a show in July. We had about 60, 70 people, I think. And then, Saturday night we had over 100 people. So tripled the crowd in the span of like 4 or 5 months, aka 3 shows. So we were doing good. You know, the crowd was doing good. Guys in the locker room were having fun, putting on fantastic matches. The company's social media was getting a lot of attention. And then all of a sudden this guy wanted to come back in. This is all just rumors and things that I've heard, so I'm not going to act like it's fact, but from what I've heard, rumors, innuendos, things I've heard from other people who had talked to him. He wanted a bigger part in the company, didn't get a bigger part of the company, wanted to be a part of the creative team. I said no. I didn't feel like sharing the booking duties because I had a specific vision in my head of what I wanted the company to look like, and I didn't feel like he could add to that. So I said no. Obviously, this guy, he had left the company. I found out later on Sunday that he left the company because I was named the booker, not because of morale was low or whatever, but one of the biggest reasons is because I was named the booker and he didn't like the fact that I was chosen over him. So just a bunch of BS and bullshit. So, you know, I decided to step down. I decided to quit. I was like, you can have the book back. I'm not coming back. You know, I'm done. I don't need this drama. Et cetera, et cetera. There's other things that I can be doing that's way more productive with my time. And then because I'm a man of my word, whatever you want to call it, I decided to take it to social media just because of the fact, and Kev, we see it all the time, wrestlers and other promoters and stuff, they're always talking about, hey, we need to call out these bad promoters. We need to call out when bad business happens, et cetera, et cetera. So I decided to let the people know, not just the wrestlers, not just other wrestlers and other promoters, but to let fans know, hey, look, this is what's happening at this show. This is what your money's going towards. You think that everything's on the up and up, and it's really not. This is the backstory. I don't want people thinking that. I want people to realize the difference, like, oh, snap, next month or whatever. Hey, look, you know, this show is not as good as it has been. What's going on? This is why. This is why all of a sudden this show is different. It has a different feel to it, et cetera, et cetera. This is why you're not getting the same talent that you've been getting for the last 3, 4 shows. This is the reason why. Hey, wrestlers. Hey, other promoters. I wouldn't work for this person because this is the type of shit that happens in the back. Did get a little bit of backlash, Kev. I'm not going to lie. Of course, you got people saying, oh, you shouldn't put this on social media. You shouldn't put this out there for everybody to see because it gives the business a black eye. Well, in my opinion, Kev, and for everybody else that's listening, I would much rather take the heat and be that guy that exposes, quote unquote, exposes the business than let other people get put in that situation and find out for themselves. If I can stop somebody from being put in that situation, then I will. I have no problem being a heat seeker. And when I say heat seeker, I don't mean, you know, tag team partner to Elliot Russell and Sigmund. I mean, like, you know, somebody who that takes all the heat. I don't have a problem doing that if it's going to be for the better of the business.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with you there at all.
You know, this business, Kevin, and tell me if I'm wrong, but this business is real funny. The business of professional wrestling, not the sport, but the business of professional wrestling. It's so weird. You always have people that say, we need to make this business better. We need to get rid of these bad promoters. We need to get rid of these bad businesses, et cetera, et cetera. But when it's time to stand up and say something, nobody wants to say anything. Nobody wants to stand up. Nobody wants to be that guy or that gal to stand up and say, hey, this is wrong. Why, in your opinion, Kev, why is that?
Honestly, I can't answer that. If I had that answer, I'd probably be the greatest wrestling promoter ever myself.
Well, you probably do a lot better than most guys are doing, most promoters are doing right now. I mean, fortunately, and go ahead, let me go ahead and say this right now, listeners. I'm very fortunate to work with a lot of great companies. There are a lot of great companies that I work for, a lot of stand-up promoters that I work for, such as, you know, Josh Wheeler in Atlanta for AWE, Cody up at WVCW, LeBron Cozone for Firestar Pro Wrestling, Chris Schwantz for NAPW, you know, the office down there, and I'm not going to release the names of the people that own that company, but Brainbuster Pro down in Florida, former guest on the show, Sully Banger, up there at Prov Wrestling. I'm very fortunate to wrestle and to work for a lot of really good promoters, people who love this business, people who are trying to leave this business better than how they found it, people who are trying to nurture upcoming wrestlers and stuff. So, in my opinion, as much as we praise good promoters and good companies, we have to call out bad business practices, bad promoters, bad companies, things where things are not on the up and up and stuff. Whether, like I said, for Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, I've known Vinny Vane for 10 years. Me and him have been friends for 10 years. And this has been the first time really that me and him actually had this kind of problem on this level. But this was a result of a bunch of small things just piling on to the point where I just felt like it was best that I step away, before something really tragic happened. So there it goes. Anyway, tonight on the show, Kev, we're going to do something. I think we're going to do something different tonight, Kev. We usually have wrestlers and promoters and referees. And occasionally, if we're very lucky, we have legends, not only on this show, but on earlier incantations of this show. But for tonight, I want to take a look. I want to talk to somebody who's on the other side of the guardrail. Somebody who does, but doesn't really have a bunch of insights of business, and see what they think, about the current state of professional wrestling and what are some of their favorite wrestling companies, favorite wrestlers, and why. And so tonight, we are very fortunate. We're very blessed to have one of these fans. She's very loud. She's very rambunctious. She's very outspoken. If you live in the Georgia area, you may see her at an AWE show. You may see her at UIW. If you happen to be one of the hundreds and hundreds in attendance at this past weekend's Scenic City Invitational, you've probably seen and or heard her up front. She is known by many monikers, such as the Scream Queen, and I call her Mika or whatever. But tonight we're going to talk to wrestling fan and budding podcaster and also announcer, play-by-play commentator for Mucha Lucha Atlanta. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tamika Croat. Did I pronounce your last name right first of all, Tamika?
No, you didn't, but that's okay. I've been called worse by better, so it's quite all right.
How you pronounce it then? I was gonna say crouton, but
yeah, again, worse by better. I've heard it all. The actual pronunciation is kraut, like sauerkraut. I get that a lot too, but just Mika will do for all you people out there. No, Mika's fine. I'm cool with that. Tamika, I got enough.
Like I was saying,
my name.
Enough stalkers. Well, after this show, hopefully you'll have hundreds and hundreds of more stalkers. First of all, before I even get into your background about why you love wrestling and everything, where did you get the nickname the Scream Queen?
So I have been known to be just a tad bit on the loud side when I'm out at my wrestling events. I am extremely loud. I will be 100% honest. So as a group of fans, everybody has like kind of a nickname, a gimmick name, if you will. I'm one of the earlier girls into our group, and so I needed a name. All the guys had a name. There was Prime, there's Danger. I needed a name, and one of my favorite wrestlers is Daphne, who is the original Scream Queen, of course, who was screaming way before some of these other young ladies started to scream, like your Melinas and your Paiges and all that loveliness. So my moniker of the Scream Queen is absolutely, positively a homage to Daphne, who screamed her lungs out back in WCW it was wonderful, it was loud, it was great, and I want people's eardrums to break and burst like I'm pretty sure she did. So I want to be just as wonderful and just as great, or maybe just a smidgen of her greatness in her screaming. So that's where I got the moniker from. It just kind of fit because, yeah, I'm pretty loud, man.
Loud. Pretty loud? No, you're loud with a capital OUD. All right, so first of all, from Chicago, South Side of Chi-Town,
West
aka
side,
Chirac.
west side of
Huh?
Chicago. It's the
I'm from
west side of
I'm from
Chicago.
No. I'm saying I'm shouting at the South Side because that's where my family's from. St. Louis and the South Side of Chicago, baby. What up?
Oh my
But
God.
from Chicago, growing up in Chicago, now you live in Atlanta and stuff. So it's two totally different areas of the country and stuff. What first attracted you to professional? What's your earliest professional wrestling memory?
One of my earlier memories, and the reason that I'm such a rabid wrestling fan, is that it was one of the few things I did with my father growing up that was not. I was a very spoiled child, but very nerdy. I read a lot of books. I did not watch a lot of television, radio, and video. So we watched wrestling on Saturdays together. That was our kind of daddy-daughter bonding time. And that was so special to me. And we watched wrestling. I remember in Chicago growing up, the only wrestling that was on television that he and I would watch together was some old Texas wrestling. I'm talking about the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. Like that.
Oh!
Yeah. World class championship wrestling. That was one of the things that I can remember as a child watching with him, and then him telling me stories about, Barry Gordy, and still to this day he talks about Vern Gagne and even about Fritz Von Erich. So I'm not even sure where his wrestling background or memories came from, but I just remember being so, enamored with that was our bonding time. And then watching these guys in the ring, just, they were so unreal and they were so athletic and just like nothing I'd ever seen before. Even in my books, I had a vivid imagination, and this was just so something out of the ordinary. It was very superhero-like for me, and I loved every moment of it, and I really hardly ever stopped.
So, all right. So, as a young lady watching world-class championship wrestling, most young ladies, especially if you watch the old video and stuff, were fans of the Von Erichs, especially Carrie. Who was your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, you mentioned Carrie Von Erich. I was a Kevin fan as well. If I couldn't see Carrie, I was absolutely okay with Kevin. I think I learned and got a little bit of darkness in me because I absolutely became a Freebird fan. Just watching them, just that attitude, that confidence, that swagger was something that drew me in. Later in my years, as I evolved or grew in my wrestling taste, the bad guys were always fun for me. I am a old school Triple H fan, from the Hunter Hearst Helmsley era when he was the blue blood fighting pigsty matches and bowing and curtsying in that waistcoat, and his evolution into, the game, the DX Hunter. I loved evil Mary Stephanie in a drive-through Hunter. I seriously was like crushing hard as a young lady on Hunter, and oh my gosh. Then we go some dark characters, Raven. Oh my gosh. WCW Raven, when he was just with the flock. Geez, I'm fanning over here because I loved Raven. There was just something so dark and sadistic and twisted and just drawing about him. And then I go into ECW, and, in ECW, everybody really kind of goes, I believe, probably for Rob Van Dam, Tommy Dreamer, of course. I loved watching the ECW Dudleys, who just did not give a bleep, and they were awesome. I wanted to be a Dudley. Like, there were 800 Dudleys in ECW.
First of all, Tamika, you don't have to bleep yourself. This is an adult show, kind of like AWE. You could be, an AWE fan here with all the F-bombs. Like, there's no way that, and I tell all our guests, there's no way you can ever drop more F-bombs than Rip Rogers ever said on an earlier contation of this show. And then you'd have to follow White Mike, who I think may come in second place. So unless you think you can drop more F-bombs to either Rip Rogers or White Mike, you're pretty much safe.
I could give it a go. I really, truly could. But I'm a effing lady, okay? I do curse. You know that I curse, but I try not to curse for the sake of cursing. And so if I drop a couple F-bombs or some shits and fucks, fucking shits and dams, it's because it's for a fucking reason. Okay, I'm done. All right. No more cursing.
Come on now. Let that inner Rip Rogers out.
Listen, I'll be the fucking chick who will fucking say more fucks than any other fucking chick you'll ever fucking have on here. Do you fucking understand me? Is that good?
That's perfect.
Fill that F bucket up.
Yeah, don't fuck it up, alright? You're fucking up right now. Ask me another fucking question for fuck's sake.
I was about to. So now you're an adult. You live in the Atlanta area. Excuse me. Obviously, like I said in your introduction, we can find you as AWE, UIW. Now you're, commentating for Mucha Lucha and stuff. What's so special about the companies, or what do you look for in wrestling companies, when you decide to go and patronize them?
I am a fan of wrestling in general. I love the independent scene. It has become so near and dear to my heart. Coming out of Chicago, I did see some early inceptions of Windy City Pro Wrestling, and that was kind of my first foray into indie wrestling. And then I've moved a lot of places. I lived in Florida for a number of years. And again, WWE is kind of the monster out there, but coming to Atlanta and really getting into AWE, getting an introduction into, I guess, the true Southern Indies or just the indie scene, what makes me want to spend my hard-earned dollars on not just entry to the show, which is minimal at best, but to actually go and pay money for some of the merchandise from some of the guys and girls is the absolute hard work that they put into these shows. That you see these guys and girls that get into this ring, and for however many minutes, they literally bust their ass. And they get out of the ring and they're beat up and they're broken, and they still, they're smiling, they're kind of, reaching out, touching hands, shaking babies if there's a, family-friendly show. But what I really love most is not so much the suspension of disbelief that you have in the WWE, where you have to kind of think that, oh, this guy is, Superman or, John Cena, but the actual seeing these guys and girls, to be up close, to hear that smack, that hit, to have that sweat fly, to hear their gasp in real pain, or the reaction around of the crowd around you buying into the match. AWE is great because you're ringside, literally against the ring apron, and you have to dive out of the way because bodies are going to fly at you. Blood, sweat, tears, everything. You're right there as close as you could possibly be without being in the ring. And that's, for me, the magic and the wonder of being an indie wrestling fan and going to these shows, because afterwards, I don't want anything from those performers other than to shake their hands and say thank you for literally putting your body out there for my entertainment. To get punched, hit, kicked, chopped for my entertainment, that's a selfless job, as you know, but it's one of those things where it's an art, it's a sport, and it's just a spectacle that I just can't help but respect and want to support. I mean, there's so many great guys and girls out there like yourself. I called you a chick just now. Did you get it? But there's so many people out there who...
I got it.
Just wanted to make sure I got that in there. But really and truly, the fact of the matter is I can't support enough of what they want to do, because everybody has a dream and everybody has a passion. Being on this side of the ropes is a passion of mine. And to watch somebody who, take, for instance, you've got people like Cedric Alexander, Kimberly, Heidi Lovelace. These people were pursuing a passion and a dream, and to move to the next level, all three of these people performed in AWE rings. All three of these people are now in a bigger arena in the WWE. So to see someone's dream come to fruition is also just amazing. It's almost, here's a little weirdness, it's like watching a child grow up in front of your eyes. You know, you nurture this child, you support this child, you want their hopes and dreams and whatever they may be to come true, and to see it is like a wonderful thing. I'm not saying I'm their parents or anything, but it's just a joy to watch. So that's why I will travel any and everywhere there is a great show, that there are guys and girls on the card that I've heard of, or maybe not even, seen, or just heard a little buzz of, and say, hey, this person's good. Well, hell, I want to see them in person. I'll jump in the car. I'll drive 5+ hours. I don't care. Let's go see a great show. That's what everybody who even halfway claims to be a wrestling fan should do.
All right. So I can tell from your passion that you love professional wrestling and stuff, and that you don't mind traveling and driving and seeing shows and stuff. Let's go to the social media thing, because obviously you're very active on social media. What goes through your mind? You do all right. What goes through your mind when you are cruising Twitter or Facebook, whatever, and you may see something like my post from earlier this weekend, where it shines a negative light on the business, or a particular business, a particular company. As a fan, what goes through your mind when you see things like that? When you see something like my post this past weekend, or the whole dive incident, or, for instance, and something else that was huge this weekend was, the Leo Rush, powerbomb off the ladder through a table, no sale spot. What goes through your mind when you start seeing these comments and stuff and these arguments as a fan on social media?
I think I'm a little bit of old school and a little bit of new school. But I think I settle more into the new school frame, where I understand that the wrestling business is, I like to say it a lot, smoke and mirrors. It is a show. There's an illusion that should be there, that the curtain shouldn't be pulled back too much to let too much information out there, because you happen to lose your crowd if you give away the trick. It's a magic show. It's a magic show where, big boys and girls get in there and rumble each other. But on the flip side, especially I believe in the indies, there's so many people out there trying to just get their name out there, get their face out there, get in the ring to work. And you have promoters who may not be the most honest people in the world. They, I can't speak for anybody that I know outside of who I know, but, I hear stories and I see things, where guys and girls get kind of cheated and ripped off. Again, what I do for a living, one of the best and worst things somebody ever told me when I first got started is, you'll never get rich doing this. So if you do it for the passion of it. So I know that you guys and girls out there doing it for the passion of it, and to have somebody kind of blatantly rip them off and just totally disrespect them by, not paying, like in your post, or just, not wanting to pay it forward, not wanting to let the next generation kind of get their shine. I think that's just incredibly selfish. I think that's incredibly rude. And I think that, had it been outside of the wrestling business, anybody else, people were like, I'm going to sue. It'd be a big whoop. It'd be on social media. People will be posting on Twitter. They will be reposting on Twitter saying, don't do business with this company or person because XYZ. So the wrestling business tries to keep it behind closed doors, but it needs to be out there, because there are lots of people getting into the business who may wind up getting, the wool pulled over their eyes because of some shady promoter. The no sell, that is for me along the same lines as a dive. It's so many different levels of performance that people are too smart or just too dumb. And I don't mean dumb in a disrespectful way. I mean that they cannot take it with a grain of salt. The no sell. For me, when you asked me about it, I laughed. Everybody no sells. Everybody no sells. Yes, it was through a ladder, off a ladder, off a table, through a table. It could have been on fire. There could have been like Legos under there. And no matter what, the story of the match was one of that Leo was going to not let anything stop him. That yes, this might be one of his last matches on the independent scene, but he was going to overcome the obstacles. The match had a story. The no-sell was part of the story. It was telling a story of how he was going to persevere. That gets cut out. The only thing you see is the gif of him jumping his happy little butt up and everybody going, oh my gosh, how dare he disrespect the business? You know, you're supposed to sell. You got to sell that. You don't have to do anything other than put on a damn good show and let people talk about what you did in the match, how your match went, or what have you. He achieved that. Put a damn good match on, and people are talking. That's what's supposed to happen.
Now let me ask you a question. If it wasn't, as a fan, if it wasn't a Leo Rush, somebody who's widely known, especially in America and stuff, especially on the East Coast, let's say it was, for somebody that we both know, it was Chris Bullen. Somebody who's just starting out, really doesn't have a name. No drawing power just yet. That's no disrespect to Chris Bullen, but no drawing power, no name, just starting out in the business. Let's say he did that spot, and it went viral on Twitter and social media and stuff. Would you feel the same way?
Yes, because if it went viral on social media, the name of the game is to have people talking, to make people want to see what else you do next, to make people want to see what you're doing in that match, to buy the live stream, to get the DVD or however else is being distributed, to watch it on YouTube if YouTube stops being a bitch and do, the right thing. Whatever. Sorry, YouTube. Didn't mean to, say, but it is what it is. I mean, back in the day, if this was tape sharing, VHS tape sharing, everybody and their mother would be sharing that tape. That's how people became known. So, in this day and age, you do something that is going to get you known. Joey Ryan is using his dick. Why? Because it's getting him known. Not because he has the most powerful dick in the universe, but as a wrestling fan, we're supposed to suspend our disbelief and think that this man's penis is flipping over people. Nobody's tripping.
I will admit that I may or may not have been flipped and taken the Joey Ryan's penis flip.
Listen, again, it is a suspension of disbelief that you have to take or have as a wrestling fan and go, you know what? He's got a powerful penis. I'm pretty sure he's not pumping weights in the gym with his dick. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. But it's that same, I mean, it's funny, but it's true. But it's that same grain of, you know what? I know better, but I'm going to go with it. That should be taken and applied to that Leo Rush spot or any spot, therefore, that somebody does that they no sell as such. Because the fact of the matter is, if Leo Rush was not going to the WWE and he did his spot and he, like you said, was along the lines of somebody newer in the business, people will be talking and wanting to see what he's going to do next. I liken it to, as well, Darby Allin. Darby Allin is getting a name for himself. Why do people know Darby Allin? Because Darby Allin's ass fell off the highest point that he could find during that match, and people are like, who is this person who is trying to kill himself by just literally falling and saying, fuck gravity? That is why people were abuzz about Darby Allin, and Darby used that to his advantage. He's out there getting bookings. He's a WWN darling, and that's fine and dandy. But again, it started with him falling like a fucking stone out of the sky. I'm gonna ask you this. Do you think that as a fan, do you think that sets a bad precedent for future wrestlers who are trying to get to business, who think that, in order for me to get recognized, I have to do reckless things. I have to jump off of the highest point in the building. I have to take these ridiculous, and I'm not going to say, because myself personally, I enjoyed the Leo Rush match. I know what Leo Rush does. I understand the quote unquote Leo Rush character. He's 5'0", 100 and nothing pounds.
So he really has to have that fighting spirit, as they call it in Japan. So I love the spot. But do you think that sets a bad precedent for guys and ladies who are just getting into business, thinking that I have to take these outlandish, ridiculous spots and no sell them, or just take these spots, or jump off or do these, Hollywood stuntman quality fucking dives and falls to get noticed, instead of learning how to actually tell a story?
I look at it like this. I know that there are several good trainers, not several, but lots of good trainers and training schools all over. Murder has done training. There is lots of training here in Georgia. Ethan Case has a training school. Down in Florida, there is, oh my gosh, what's his face? Aaron Epic does training. There are lots of training places all over that I just know as a fan. If this is really your passion and really what you want to do, you absolutely have to get trained. I think everybody who's ever asked a wrestler, what should I do to get into this business? What is your advice? I've always heard them say, go to a wrestling school and get properly trained. So
actually, the first thing I usually say when somebody's like, I want to get into the wrestling business, what should I do? And I usually say, don't do it. Go to college and do something else.
Okay.
But then if they're very adamant, I'm like, all right, go to a school. And then I try to direct them to a really good school that's close to their house.
Right. Okay. In that same vein, somewhere along the lines, I assume that somebody's going to say, hey, watch me, jump off this ladder onto this Hot Wheels track and do a flip. And somebody's going to put a stop to it. Again, I liken it to children. You're going to teach a child the right way. If they think that just doing this outlandish stunt is going to get them noticed, somebody's going to say, hey, asshole, no, don't do that. One, it's unsafe. And two, it'll get you hurt and you'll end your career before you begin it. So it's up on the person themselves to know what they want, but to get there the right way. You can do as many stunts and everything as you want, but if you're not properly trained, I know a bunch of guys who are like 200 plus pounds who probably punch you in the fucking face and say, hey, Junior, sit your green ass down. I mean, I could be wrong, but that just kind of might happen in a locker room if you do some stunt-tacular stuff. I'm assuming. I'm just a fan. I don't know anything. I'm just a girl, y'all.
No, I'm gonna ask you this. What kind of wrestlers do you like? And I'm not just talking about like visually. I mean, what kind of wrestling style really gets you going and stuff? What kind of wrestling style do you appreciate as a fan?
I appreciate a fast-paced, hard-hitting match. You, in my lovely intro, thank you, by the way, I did not thank you, but the intro, you said I was at the Scenic City Invitational this weekend, and I was. One of the most awesome and worst things I ever saw was Kurt Stallion and Matt Riddle try to cave each other's chest in with their chops. Hit hard and fast. That just sounded dirty coming out of my mouth. I'm sorry. But that is exactly what they were doing. They were hitting hard and hitting fast. I want to actually see some physicality. While the athleticism is great, the flips, the kicks, and what have you, I'm not against that. But I need you to have a little oomph behind it. I need you to, if you're going to do a flip, man, you better throw the stiffest fucking forearm that you can. And I'm like, yeah, beat his ass or, punch his lights out. It has to be physical. I'm not trying to get you to really kill anybody, but part of getting the buy-in to make me scream is that you really have to deliver the physicality that should, in my opinion, be in a wrestling match. You have to be physical. Sorry about the quote, this ain't no ballet, so you better lay those hits in there, you better lay those kicks in there, and that's going to get me bought in. I'm all fired up now thinking about it. That's going to get me, like, seriously sitting there screaming, yelling, beating on the apron or whatever's in front of me. Sorry about it if it's a person, but that's going to have me just all a Twitter. And afterwards, I'm going to be on Twitter. I'm going to take 850 pictures of you. I'm going to tell all my friends, and that's what gets me going. And that's what I think will get a lot of wrestling fans going when you legit deliver a wrestling match.
Now, you just mentioned about you see something you like, you get on Twitter and you take a bunch of pictures and you tweet them all out and you post them all out on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. How important is a wrestler's social media to you as a fan? How often do you follow a wrestler's social media?
Social media, listen to me. Any wrestlers who happen to hear the sound of this lovely voice, I'm sorry, first of all. But secondly, seriously, social media is a godsend for you. You don't have to do tape sharing or worry about somebody passing a clip of you along, because in this day and age, it's basically instantaneous that you've had your match at 9:49 p.m. and at 9:50, your match could be seen by thousands of other people not in attendance in that gym or bar room or wherever the hell you were fighting at because of social media. If you do not social media correctly, you are not going to achieve whatever your goal is in this profession. You have to do it right. You need Twitter. Twitter is instantly somebody's going to like, reshare, and tweet, and somebody's going to look and go, hey, who is this person? You need Facebook. People feel really connected with Facebook. Like, oh my gosh, we're friends on Facebook. I'm laughing, because I'm saying this because I just added a ton of people on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no clue who you people are, but you're wrestling fans clearly, so I'm going to add you. So if you're a wrestler, you need to make sure that you're doing Instagram, Facebook, and everything, putting not just your stuff out there, but responding back to fans, because people feel all warm and fuzzy when you use their name. And you can, of course, use their name, but you can use their Twitter handle and retweet them, and people get a kick out of that, and they go, oh my gosh, this person is the coolest ever, and they're going to just promote the hell out of your stuff. You got to promote yourself. You got to push yourself out there. But trust me when I tell you, I'll be a mark. You retweet my stuff and you like my little picture of you. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. And I'm so pushing you even more. I'm smart. Imagine all the real marks out there. So please, social media right. Put your dates out there. Tell people where you're going to be. Tell people well in advance where you're going to be. I'm a traveler. I have friends who like to travel. If you tell us in advance where you'll be and we follow you, we like you, guess who's getting in a car and going to Indiana from Atlanta? Us wrestling fans.
I will, ladies and gentlemen, I will definitely vouch for her when she says it. I hate to cut you off. I'm definitely going to vouch for you, because you had told me, as a friend, we were having a personal conversation, that you guys were driving from Atlanta to, was it Orlando?
Yeah, we went to Orlando, and then we went back up to Tampa, and we came back to Atlanta for a few days, and then we went to Maryland. For PWX.
Well, but yeah, I was gonna say you guys drove like 5-6 hours to Florida to watch. Let me correct. Was it Fest Wrestling?
Fest. Oh yeah, we went to Fest recently.
Y'all went to Fest Wrestling. And I actually talked to one of the referees who refs there, and I was like, hey, so I heard some of the fans from up here in Georgia was down in Florida, and they were just like, yeah. Like, I came out of the entrance and I look and there they are, front row, and I'm like, what the hell are you people doing here? And they're like, oh, we just came to see the show, et cetera, et cetera. I've talked to other wrestlers who are like, yeah, we were in Indiana and they just rented a van and just drove to Indiana to support us. And we were just like, all right. And it freaked out the rest of the company's regular fans, because, our fans came up from Atlanta and they were like super loud and let everybody know, hey, okay, the rest of these wrestlers are cool, but these are our guys and we came to see our guys. And hey, Mr. Promoter, I just want you to know, we drove from Atlanta just to see these guys right here.
Right. That's how you social media correctly, because again, this was known in advance where people were going to be. So we made plans, and again, it's amazing. I know I'll name drop Frankie. Hey, Frankie. Frankie's the ref who was at Fest, who walked out and went, what the hell are you doing here? I'm like, shit, I'm here to watch wrestling, bro, because Frankie's used to seeing us in Atlanta. But I've got no problems. We have no problems following who we like. If there's somebody who a fan is committed to, or a group of people or wrestlers who fans are committed to, there's no stopping that fan from showing their support by buying merch, coming to shows that are just not in their area, promoting those people, sharing and talking about matches, writing articles. I'm a part of the Wrestling with Words Network, and I podcast about just everything and anything, and I will talk about my favorite wrestlers as well as the WWE, and we speak about Japanese wrestling as well. So if you are doing your quote-unquote job right as a wrestler and promoting yourself, as a fan, I'm going to be right there with you and supporting, however I can. I may not have merch all the time, but trust me, your name is going to come out of my mouth. I'm going to tell people, hey, you live in Florida, go to this show. And that's going to have more dollars at the door, more people with eyes on you, and the promoter's going to go, where do all these people come from? And you become the draw. I mean, for instance, if we're talking Priscilla, Kelly, and Kiera Hogan, we drove to Florida to shine, and we're front row and cheering for these girls, where we had that whole place going, okay, who are these girls? We like them because these people like them. Imagine that kind of influence if you social media and just do right by your fans. And a lot of folks are doing right by their fans, and we appreciate that. A lot of people, maybe not doing so right by their fans. You might want to change that.
Now let's flip the script and stuff, because you have started foraying to this side of the guardrail, and you've started dabbling. I'm gonna use the word dabbling. You started dabbling in being a commentator. It's not being a commentator and stuff for Mucha Lucha Atlanta and stuff. First of all, how did that get started? And what was your biggest misconception about being a commentator that's been proven wrong?
Well, as you may or may not can tell, I like to talk a lot. So, it was, honestly and truly, it's a great opportunity. I'm very, very excited. I have, people that I am very close friends with who have done a couple of the Mucha Lucha Atlanta commentary. That's Danny Danger and Yellow Man Patrick. These are two of my best friends, and we podcast together. As I go to these shows as well, I just started kind of saying, hey guys, if you ever need a third in the booth, just kind of joking around and kidding, but we talk wrestling. I speak about wrestling with this crazy, deep, husky voice, but there's that passion there as well. So it just kind of all worked out that, Patrick is going to, take on some other roles, and I'm going to try to step into his established yellow shoes and kind of make my own mark. I'm excited because I'm not sure how many female play-by-play or just commentators there are out there on the indie scene. I'm not trying to trailblaze, but if I do, yay for me, yay for us girls, because I really feel that there are not enough women speaking about wrestling on the indie scene, that we're not actively participating. We are, but not on such a scale as the boys. And if there's nothing else that you should know about me, I feel that I'm one of the boys, but I'm also a girl. And I feel that my girls can step up and do and be and go road tripping just like the boys. A friend of mine, Jenny, and I, we went road tripping without, a bunch of boys to go see wrestling. And that's where I want to see kind of the business move, where there's a lot more females out in the audience, a lot more females doing things, that traditionally you don't see them do. Kennedy Brink is now a referee, the first female referee, even though she's not really a first, but, WWE makes their own history. I'm going to let it go. But to see someone who I've seen on the independent scene kind of trailblaze, I'm like, you know what? I want to be a part of that story. I want to lend my voice to express my passion about wrestling. And Mucha Lucha Atlanta is just absolutely some of the best wrestling out there. The crowds that they draw are just phenomenal. The talent that they have coming in and participate in these shows is great as well. So I'm just excited and looking forward to my first telecast. So, yeah, there's that.
I'm about to say, so have you been, so I take it that you've been practicing, calling matches at home or whatever, with watching wrestling matches and calling them with the sound off. Do you have a catchphrase yet? Do you have like a Joey Styles catchphrase or a JR catchphrase that we can look forward to?
Oh my God, he's been broken in half. Beat him like a government mule. No, I don't have a catchphrase yet. I feel like the way you just described it, I should be in front of my mirror with a hairbrush or something, almost like karaoke fake singing. No, exactly. I have not come up with a catchphrase yet. I want to be just a little bit more organic. I say a lot of stuff just in my everyday life that probably is very catchphrase-ish. So something is probably going to slip out of my mouth, and that's why you should absolutely positively, once the video on demand comes out, you definitely want to get this one just to see what the hell I'm going to say, because I don't know yet. Anything will just slip, and it might be the greatest thing or it might be the worst thing ever. We'll find out. So if I do come up with a catchphrase, I will be sure to inform you so you can share with your audience and die laughing, because I'm pretty sure it'll just be the most ignorantest thing ever. I don't know. I don't want to catchphrase. I don't want to be. I love Joey Styles. I love JR. Those gentlemen are definitely kind of inspiration in as far as, speaking and commentating go. But I don't know if I want to be like Michael Cole-ish and just kind of steal their gimmick and look for words to repeat over and over again to get myself over. I don't want to do that. It's all about the wrestling.
So, I'm about to say, so are you more of a I can't talk for some reason. Bob Cago kind of guy, Matt Striker. I mean, what kind of, when you see yourself, when you envision yourself as a commentator, what current or former commentator would you ever say that your style, your personal style, is the closest to?
Oh, Don West. Oh, Don West from TNA. Just, I'm going to do deals. No, I really, if I'm going to go and even remotely compare myself or see myself in that vein or that light, I don't want to say Mike Adamle, of course, but I would say probably a very young, oh my gosh, I was going to say Coachman. Coachman wasn't bad. I mean, he became more comfortable, I think, in his role as he matured in the business and learned a lot, but he was able to be both informative and that straight man, as well as still be the butt of jokes and to still be a little bit funny. So I'm okay being the boobs of jokes, but still being funny and still being informative and being able to be taken seriously, as a journalist or a commentator, at least. I don't want to call myself a journalist because that means I have to write my name a bunch of times on a byline, and I'm not ready for that yet. So I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, you mentioned it earlier, and I know that time is winding down with your stuff, and you got a bunch of things to do, and you got a bunch of stuff to prepare for. But I'm going to ask you, before I get to social media, go ahead. Who are some of your favorite wrestling companies, some of your favorite wrestlers, not named Will Huckaby, that you enjoy, that you would like to plug right now, and you want to tell our fans and listeners to be on the lookout for?
Oh my gosh. Well, not named Will Huckaby, of course. There's actually nobody in the world. We can just end it with you. No, not really. Oh my gosh. There's a ton of guys and girls out there who I absolutely positively adore. It is very AWE heavy. Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment is one of my absolute favorite promotions. I would marry that promotion if it was legal in this state, and I'm working on a law change. Just so you guys.
Okay, hold on. Let's stop. Okay, why? Let's ask why. Then we're gonna go ahead and put them over. Because because I work for them, and B, because you mentioned it. Why is AWE one of your favorite companies? And this might be something that other promoters can hear and learn something from.
Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment is one of my favorite promotions because it does not preach to the fans. it embraces the fans. It embraces the wrestler, and it tells a story without beating you over the head with a story. There's actual, there's a congruent line that goes from show to show, season to season, that is so subtle and fine that the art of storytelling is really literally in your face once you think about it. But you don't think about it because the action is so in depth, it's so packed that everything flows and ebbs. Where if this was not a sitcom, but if this was something on television, you would have just a million people watching because it would be so good. For instance, Game of Thrones wise, it'd be Game of Thrones for wrestling because everything ties together, but it all can stand alone. That's just the art behind it. The physicality is very Southern strong style. When I first heard that term, I'm a Northern girl. I giggled. I laughed until that first chop. Then I got it. Then I understood that standing in the middle of that ring, every person who climbed between those ropes, they were going to go hard. Standing ringside as a fan, literally, truly ringside. I know it's a big liability for some of these companies that they just will absolutely positively say no. But it's just like a Major League Baseball game. You can get hit by a fastball or a bat whizzing at your head at 120 miles per hour. You got a ticket, that lovely language on it says, we're not responsible if you get fucked up, okay? So standing ringside, being able to experience almost wrestling church, literally at the altar, at the feet of the gladiators in the ring, is a surreal experience. I've paid a good damn ton of money to big companies like WWE and TNA to be ringside at their events. And I would gladly give that money to AWE instead, if I could go back in time, to be standing where I stand now for almost a fraction of the dollars that I spend. This promotion and its fans also tell the story. You have people like myself who, if you've ever been to an AWE show, if you've ever watched an AWE show via their YouTube channel, you hear me. You literally, truly hear me. You might have to turn your volume down. Imagine people with the passion of my voice surrounding the ring. That's what they have. You can't buy that kind of devotion. And the fans are so welcoming. We take all comers. There's no black, there's no white, there's no woman, there's no man. It is truly a sense of family, fellowship, and fun when you step through the doors of Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. I love it. I really, truly do. If I ever move out of Atlanta, which is always a possibility, I guarantee you every freaking show I will be back at, because I would not miss this for the world. So that's my favorite promotion. The guys and girls there, yourself, of course, included, I joke, are some of the best people I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of wrestling going back my 850 years of life. But you, Joe, Su Young is a flippin' national treasure. Chip fucking Day is the next person I want to see fulfill his journey, his passion. Chip Day should be in the WWE, hands down. Just should be there. He will be there. I have no doubt in my mind. You've got some OGs in Murder One, Adrian Armour. I love Ethan Case, who comes through. The Ugly Ducklings are a sight to see. The Gymnasty Boys, hello.
I'm about to say, our producer Killer Kev got a chance to see the Ugly Ducklings in West Virginia. And Killer Kev, to paraphrase his quote, basically said, anybody and everybody who considers themselves a wrestling fan should see the Ugly Ducklings.
You have to. You absolutely have to. It sounds corny. It sounds like, who wants to see a bunch of guys quack? Are you kidding me? Watch the work. Watch the athleticism. Watch the fun that they have all while, again, getting in there, putting their bodies on the line, and performing at such a level that you blink and you look around, you might miss something. I love it. We've got these girls. These girls kick ass. Kiera Hogan is literally on fire. She is the girl on fire. Look out for this girl. She is going to be wherever the hell she wants to be in a matter of moments because she is that damn good. Priscilla Kelly. Priscilla is your Shine Nova inaugural champion for a reason. Priscilla Kelly is, and Kiera both. They're both two girls who I've seen evolve, no pun intended, in this business over the past few years. I've watched them change slowly from just, me as a wrestling fan going, all right, they're okay, to me literally driving hours and hours and hours to see and support them. There's so many different people that I just love out there in this indie scene. The Carnies. Oh my gosh, the Carnies. If you do not know who the Carnies are, at this particular moment on August 8th, 2007, give it a year at the very least. And next year you'll be like, holy fucking shit, the Carnies. Because these boys are a sight. They are something to behold. They are magic. They are the embodiment of what indie wrestlers should strive to be. Not just to make it to the Fed or what have you, but to get the kind of buzz, devotion, and just to do everything that they do it right. They're good heels, but they still push merch. And heels that push merch should be like a nominator. It shouldn't happen, but it does. They're so fucking good. It is scary, and I love watching them work. God, I could just go on and on. I like PWX. I like to go to North Carolina to watch PWX. I love the show that they put on. Darius Lockhart is really, really good. You've got a ton of guys over there that are really, really awesome to watch. I like Jake Manning. Jake Manning's been in this for a while now. I remember seeing him a while ago. But he's really good. There's so much talent that I should shut up because I could just go on naming people forever and your show would never end.
It really wouldn't. So before I let you go, Tamika, first of all, this has been great and amazing. And talking to you was like, this interview was like, just when we talk on the phone and stuff and shop up and just talk shop. Let our fans and listeners know, and other wrestlers who may need some social media help, let them know where they can find you at, where they can follow you at, and where, what shows you may be interested in going to that they might be interested in going to.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, first of all, stalk me. I don't mind. I don't care. No, I'm kidding. Don't really stalk me, but just follow my social media. All of my social media is pretty much one of my gimmick names, Mika Villas. That's on Twitter. That's actually on Snapchat. That is on Instagram. That's Mika, Mika Villas, Villas. I will add and follow you back. You can look at all my pretty wrestling pictures and pictures of food, of course, because Instagram was made for food. But, and of course on Twitter, I will talk shop. SCI has the Scenic City Trios coming up later in this year. It will be a trios tournament. So far, teams have not been announced, but I am pretty sure that there are going to be some names, some trios that I am familiar with, and you should be as well. So if you are in the Chattanooga area, if you are not in the Chattanooga area, get to the Chattanooga area because this is going to be one of those shows. It's their first time doing a trios tournament, and I guarantee you it is going to be awesome. At the Scenic City Invitational next year, I'm pretty sure it's going to be awesome as well. So Chattanooga's a hotbed of wrestling again, and you want to make your way there. Speaking of the Carnies, because they were a trio at this past weekend, they're going to be in New York at Battle Club Pro. I am not making this trip, but I know people who are. The Carnies are going up against British Strong Style. Those are those boys who, were in the European Classic. You got Pete Dunne, who is, I believe, that WWE European Champion or whatever the hell belt they have now, along with Trent Steven, who's got a nice little mustache mountain or whatever. My boys are going places. Again, if you are in that area, if you're not in that area, get your ass there to watch this show. It's going to be great. The carnies are on fucking fire. Threw a fuck in there for you. You also have indie shows in the area. UIW is putting on a show later this month. Actually, probably next weekend, I believe it is. They're going to be good. You've got Shine coming up. Whenever you have a chance to see Shine or Shimmer, if you're in Illinois, my home state, in the Berwyn area, go see these ladies. I didn't push the ladies enough today. Maybe if I get a chance to come back, we'll talk women's wrestling. But every female wrestler that you see will literally and truly whoop your ass because these girls kick ass. So get out to a Shine show and see my girl Priscilla with her Nova Championship. Or, you know what, you can catch her on Evolve. She will stroll through and, you know, do that witchy thing that she does, which is awesome and cool at the same time. Reach out to wrestlers on social media. Talk to them. They're people. They're fine. They're dandy. They will chat back with you and share, you know, their favorite music or food or lack of favorite music or food. There's just so much out there. Oh, and Facebook. If you want to add me on Facebook, you're more than welcome. I am, as Mr. Huckaby said at the beginning, my name is Tamika Kraut. That's TAMIKA CROUT. I'll add you on Facebook, you know, just no unsolicited pics. That's all I ask, all right?
Well, Tamika, thank you for being a guest on the show. I definitely want you to come back on in a couple of months and stuff so we can talk women's wrestling. We both know that I'm a huge fan of women's wrestling. I'm surprised that you didn't talk about AWE's Roar show coming up on August 28th.
Because
but that's the next time. Of course. But thank you for being a guest on the show, sweetheart. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for informing all of our fans and listeners, and especially a lot of the young talent out there, giving them the fans' perspective of what's going on in the current status of wrestling and what they need to do to build their social media brand, their social media awareness. So thank you for being a guest on the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. It was fun.
You're welcome, and I will talk to you later on. All right.
All right. Peace out, boys.
All right. Bye, Tamika.
Bye.
Kev.
Yes, sir.
What'd you think?
She is totally fucking awesome. Totally fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Do you want a job? We've got an open co-host slot here. I'm hiring you on the spot if you want it.
Oh my God. I'm like gonna blush over here. Stop it. Thank you. I really appreciate the compliment, and I don't fucking curse like that. No, I'm sorry.
Bye, Tamika. You're supposed to hang up now. Bye.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to listen to you talk about me. I'm supposed to go around the corner.
No. Yes, you got to download this episode like everybody else to hear what we say about you.
Oh, fuck. All right, fine. Now I'm gonna hang up. Bye.
Bye. What were you saying, Kev?
I was trying to offer her a job before you pushed her off the air. God.
Are you trying to say that the Wrestling Nerdcast needs a feminine touch?
I'm saying we need another co-host besides me. And she is probably the best fucking thing that's come along.
Well, I tell you what, Kev, I will talk to her once I get off the air. She's such a busy person, you know. She has her job, and you know, she is a guest co-host on a different podcast on a different network, and you know, now she's training to be a commentator, and she has her wrestling stuff. But I will talk to her, Kev. Okay, I will talk to her.
Please work on this woman. I don't care what promises you have to make. I mean, we have not had somebody that dynamic of a female voice on here since the great Sierra Reed. I was feeling that vibe. I was feeling that vibe tonight, Huck. We need her.
I will talk. I will talk to her, Kev. And above all that, I think it was great just to have a fan's perspective on the show tonight. Because I know, like I said before she came on the air, we always have wrestlers and referees and promoters and stuff. And they're always able to give us insight from, this side of the guardrail. But every once in a while, it's really cool to have somebody on the other side of the guardrail, somebody who's not really involved in the business, who is a complete and total 100% fan and longtime wrestling fan, and get their perspective and say, hey, look, as wrestlers, what do we need to work on? What catches your attention, et cetera, et cetera? What do we need to do to build a bigger brand, for lack of a better term?
Indeed.
So anyway, Kev, is there anything special? What's going on this week on the Angry Marks podcast before we go tonight?
Well, we got the same old going on. Hey, we got a new episode of the Raw Reaction finally up. So go check that out. We've not had Angry Tenzai and Big Vic together for a few weeks now. Life's been keeping them really busy and away from things, but I finally was able to get them roped in for a really good show, at least for most of the show anyway. But we got a new episode there. We got new episodes of Glove Up or Shut Up. That's going on the air tomorrow night. We got Thursday night AMP, which you're joining us again, I believe.
Yes, I am, man. It's almost the end of the G1, man, and things are really starting to heat up, and I'm really super excited about the conclusion of this entire G1 climax.
That'll be awesome. We've got another episode of Impact Implosion coming up. So we just keep trucking along at the AngryMarks Podcast Network.
All right. Well, you know what? This actual weekend is a very relaxing weekend for me. Just this Saturday, the only thing I really have going on this actual weekend will be Saturday. I'll be in Kinston, North Carolina, at the Fairgrounds Gym for the Shane Smalls Ready to Rumble Memorial Show. It's a buddy of mine. His son passed away, who's a huge fan of wrestling, passed away a number of years ago. So every year he has a show in honor of his son. It's almost like a family reunion, a bunch of guys that I really don't get to see all year because we travel in different circles, for lack of a better term. We all get together, we all put together this really great show, and the proceeds from the show usually goes to a very charitable cause, whether it's a family, whether it's an actual charity such as autism awareness or cancer or some kind of cancer funding. It always goes to a great cause. So that's where we'll be at this Saturday. But next week, I am back on the road. And like Kev, I know you follow me on social media. You see, as of late, I've been very busy. And next week, I have a 5-day road trip once again. Going to be hitting the road first thing Wednesday morning, heading to Jersey. It's going to be crazy next weekend. 5 shows, 5 days. It's just going to be off the chain. Wednesday, I'll be in Jersey for Dojo Wars. Thursday, Charleston, West Virginia for Renegade Pro Wrestling. Friday, I will be in Charleston, West Virginia. Marmet, West Virginia, for Mega Championship Wrestling. Saturday, I'll be in Hickory, North Carolina for NAPW. And then Sunday, I'll be right back in Greensboro, North Carolina for Firestar Pro Wrestling. So, this weekend, not so busy. Next weekend, I'm hitting the ground running. It's going to be crazy, man. I'm telling you. I want to send a shout before I go. I want to send a shout out to a very cool company that has been helping me out, especially on these 5-day wrestling road trips. Justified Energy Drink. It's an energy drink company based out of Rhode Island. Met the guy when I went to the last Prov wrestling show. The guy was a huge wrestling fan. Gave me a case of Justified Energy drinks, and was like, here, try this out, tell me what you think. I slowly fell in love with it. I make sure that I get a case. I get about a case every 2-3 weeks or whatever, but I definitely take it with me when I'm on the road. Follow them on Instagram, Justified, JUSTIFY''D, Justified Energy Drink. Find them on Facebook. Follow them on Twitter. It's the same thing, Justified Energy Drink on Twitter and on Facebook. Follow these people, just like indie professional wrestling. This is an indie energy drink company. They're not one of the big companies like Rip It or Monster or whatever, Red Bull. This is a small independent energy drink, locally owned. The guy does his own distribution and stuff. He works with a small company. So just support this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he's a huge wrestling fan. He supports wrestlers. He supports the wrestling business. So check him out. As usual, follow me on social media. Follow me on Twitter at WA Huckaby. Follow me on Facebook, William Huckaby. Instagram, same thing, Will Huckaby. YouTube, after this show is over with, I'm actually going to load the last match I just had, myself versus Juggernaut for NWA Mid-Atlantic, was a great match. Juggernaut's he's probably the biggest junior heavyweight in the world. If you're using the NWA standards and saying that junior heavyweight is anybody who is less than 220 pounds, Juggernaut is probably the biggest junior heavyweight I've ever seen. We actually weighed him before the show, 219 and a half pounds, of solid muscle. This dude is about a good, 11-12% body fat, just jacked, huge, big. The kid's definitely gonna be going places. When the right people see him, we'll probably see him on national TV in the next year or two. So that's all I gotta say tonight. Anything else, Kev? I'm gonna take that as a no. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the friends, the Wrestling Nerdcast, the Prophet Rick Craig, Doss Wonderbeard, Zane Paisley, Drew Skills, Troy Miller, on behalf of our guest tonight, the Scream Queen, Tamika Crute,